It is a word Canadians have not heard uttered by the Prime Minister in public in quite a while, at least not when talking about a potential election. Stephen Harper has not spoken of winning a majority in several years. Tonight, evidence he is talking about it a lot to select audiences. Senior correspondent Terry Malevsky reports from Ottawa.
One thing you can be sure of with this Prime Minister is that he keeps his public message tightly controlled. But even he can be somewhat unbuttoned when speaking privately to the party faithful with no media allowed in.
We need to win a majority in the next election campaign.
A majority? That word was banned in the last Tory campaign because it seemed to turn voters off. Although some Tory MPs will say it, Harper himself does not talk that way in public. But a student snuck into a private session for party regulars in Sault Ste. Marie last week, and he heard the M word again and again.
If we do not win a majority, this country will have a Liberal government propped up by the Socialists and the Separatists. If they force us to the polls, if they get together and force us to the polls, we have to teach them a lesson and get back there with a majority and make sure their little coalition never happens.
In public, the day was carefully scripted, a speech about upgrading the border. But in private, there was more red meat for the faithful, like scrapping the gun registry.
We are still trying to get rid of that registry. We have the NDP, the Liberals, and the Bloc stopping us from even having a vote.
Actually, the Tories have done little about the gun registry, and another thing they keep quiet about in public is alleged left-wing judges, which Harper privately warns the Liberals will appoint.
Imagine how many left-wing ideologues they would be putting in the courts, federal institutions, agencies, the Senate. How many more they would be putting in.
Now, this tape was shot by a student who gave it to the Liberals, who gave it to the CBC, because they say it shows that Harper doesn't want to work with the other parties and thereby justifies Michael Ignatieff's threat to force an election. But the Prime Minister's spokesman, Dimitri Soudis, said, no, this is no time for an election. But he wouldn't touch the idea of campaigning for a majority. In fact, he refused to even utter the M word. So maybe it's still banned, at least in public. Terry Malevsky, CBC News, Ottawa.